All right, YouTube is live as well. Checking audio there just to verify.
What are you doing? No, to bed, go. No.
All right. Thank you for starting off the morning with that, Michael. But welcome, everyone. Some technical difficulties this morning starting up. Apparently, Michael's computer severely needs to be
Okay, well,
reformatted.
Proctor's had some issues too, so I think
Proctor's computer needs to be formatted as well. If you'd let me
there
finish.
was some weird issues with our streaming software. Yes. Yes.
Although Proctor's computer does not need to be reformatted as bad as Michael's, since Michael's completely reboot during trying to start the show.
That's true. That did seem bad.
Here's
Yeah.
a little bit more severe.
I'll agree with that. That was the worst situation I've had with the PC to date. Actually, I don't know what caused that, but
Is this the new one?
yeah. No, I just randomly rebooted, but it was like XSplit was having a real hard time doing something right before it did that, and then my display driver seemed to go on and off about 5 times, and then it just rebooted.
Is your
Um,
display driver on the liquid cooling as well?
no, it isn't, but I get maybe it probably is my issue. I did update to a beta display driver this weekend, and I'm pretty sure that was my mistake. So, uh,
All right, well,
anyway.
let's start her up this morning then. So, welcome everyone to the Foolish Tech Show. We're here to provide support or answer any questions for our software services. If you'd like to ask those questions, feel free to jump over to our IRC chat, which you can access at foolishtechshow.com. We have a embedded one, so you can watch the stream and chat there, or open it in a new window, or use your own client or Google Chrome extension to join our IRC and talk directly with us. We'll be more than happy to stop and answer any questions if we're just rambling or babbling. But otherwise, we'll just talk about some random tech stuff or non-tech stuff or whatever kind of stuff we got going. Proctor, your SparkoCam is completely crashed. Michael's
Wasn't running.
good. Seeing you frozen in black and white is perfectly fine.
Thank you.
So we were talking. Was it Friday or Thursday about the the minimum wage jobs getting replaced with kiosks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wendy's there
Mhm.
was a Wendy's story about it. Yeah.
Well, we had dinner last night, and on our table was a little mini kiosk, and the waiter introduced it as their assistant, and you can do random things on it. And this is the second time I've seen it. The first one was at Chili's. This one was at Olive Garden, and like we were with the Olive Garden one, you could actually like order appetizers and other things straight through there. The Chili's one, I don't think you could do as much, but like it gave you some games and things to play in between while you're waiting for food. But both of them, you could pay for it and swipe your card and pay for your meal right there at the table. Now, that's one benefit I like to go ahead and point out, that I'm always weary about handing my credit card over to someone and them walking off. Like that's always been kind of a, hey, that's not the best part.
I actually left my credit card with the waitress yesterday. I'm gonna go back for it later.
That is not
Thankfully.
the first time you've done that either.
I know. I don't remember when I did it before, but I know
I did that once too, if you remember.
Yeah.
I don't. But
Oh, maybe it was Proctor, but I thought you'd left it at that place when we had the company meeting at the.
quite possibly. Well, company meetings get out of hand. You get
Yeah.
times with those, but
But yeah, Proctor did it too, so we apparently lots have done it.
And he had
well,
to have it overnighted.
thankfully, at least
Yeah.
the restaurant ID'd me when I went back for it.
That's good. But I mean, I'm still like that whole thing about they can just walk off, write down whatever, and you have no idea what they're doing with your card.
Oh yeah.
Or
And-
snap a picture of it with their phone and.
Yeah, and then it's like you have to make sure that you tip well because that could put you on a bad list. Like there. So I'm not saying that the kiosk thing, paying at your table, is a bad idea, but it was interesting because the guy beside us in a booth, the lady was like, "Oh, you can pay for it right here at the table using this thing," and the guy's like, firmly, "No, you're going to do it." And he was like, I am firmly against these things or using anything of these nature. I came out here for a meal and to be waited on, not to self-serve myself. He's like, I would have just stayed at home and made Olive Garden if I wanted that. And then I kind of leaned back and was like, he's kind of got a point. You may honestly be training your replacement there, you realize. And it kind of felt like she was like, oh, you might be right there because they're essentially beta testing their replacements. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if that can order food for me and I can push a button when I need a new drink, all we need at that point is a smiling face to bring out the food, drinks, takeaway stuff, and we're done.
Yeah. Your next job will be either programming your replacement or hiring your replacement or training your replacement. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty sad. It's a bad state for IT workers to begin with. When the jobs
Well,
are
I did say
outsourced, but now it's gonna be.
we're a long, long, long way off that I can see from something else being able to bring and take away food. So, like I was telling Johnny, it's not like we're gonna see drones flying around Olive Garden.
Well, just the bigger picture overall kind of thing here is that if you automate everything for service industry, then I mean, no one's going to want any of it, and no one's going to be able to afford it because they don't have the job because of the automation. Everything can be automated. It's just like overall, like the big picture kind of thing. It's
I mean, there's definitely going to have.
You just want to do away with jobs and money, which is not
an option in the current economies.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think that there's going to have to be some sort of new job creations coming out of this, which there still will be a few. I'd mentioned before that somebody's going to have to repair those machines. Someone is going to have to program those machines and all of that stuff.
Yeah. The 10 people versus 10,000 people that they normally would have employed, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I guess the point really came home with me, though, in the fact that is a job that a lot of people rely on to get through college, is waiting tables and things like that. So,
no, not just to get through college, sir.
Well, yeah, a lot of people rely on it in general. But
I was at a Sonic the other day, and the gentleman who did not come out on roller skates was of the retirement age, and that's one of those things,
Yeah. So,
of course,
yeah, we definitely will be heading into a interesting place, and it's even more concerning for places with larger populations, I feel, because like India and China have 4 times at least what we have here. So, I mean, I know they're going to be building a lot of their stuff, but that's still not going to cut. I mean, most of your factory lines are already automated at this point. So,
is my IRC chat working, or is there just nobody in there?
there's RTM Tech, Shoot, Glenn, and Whiskers in there, but nobody's talking.
Nobody's talking. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring that point out just because that I noticed it last night and we had been talking about it earlier, and I thought that was quite interesting. And the whole fact of I had to let that girl know that she may be beta testing her.
Yeah.
Like, and she was like honestly surprised. She was like, "Oh, they told us this was just our assistant."
Well, yeah. See, they all thought they were getting a personal assistant thanks to technology to help them with their jobs.
Yeah.
And, I mean, to an extent, I mean that's what it'll be. It'll just be fewer of them working those jobs.
Well, and
You know,
I also
because the person that carries it out will be carrying it out for way more tables than than the right now. So
yeah, because
And does that eliminate tipping if they're not
that's
if they're not fully servicing you?
that's the other point I brought up too, because I was like, if waitress and waiters get replaced, that's going to make people far less likely to tip. And there's a whole backside of that industry that people don't realize, that tip doesn't just go to your waiter or waitresses. It gets split with the kitchen staff normally as well. So that's a whole area that we're not even seeing, that they're going to get another chunk of money taken out as well. So.
And I know when I'm dining, my experience with the waiter or waitress has a lot to do with how I tip.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
And if I don't have that experience, I'll probably just tip an average amount or a lower amount.
Yeah, having worked with the restaurant industry and having a bunch of friends in the restaurant industry, I know some of that back end and how it gets split with the balance it. Like, if the food was really good and the waitress was, or waiter was, the wait staff was not as good, I kind of balance it on the tipping scale.
Yeah.
Like,
I try
if
to.
both are really good, then they get a good tip.
But you're still shafting someone even when you do that, and someone still benefits when you don't
bad
feel
work.
good. You also have other waitresses, waiters, wait staff, I should say, in the restaurant that have the when the tip share is going, that they all split that. So that other wait person that you saw, they might have offended you, or they just might have been treating their customers bad, and you might have noticed that, even though yours was awesome. But you're tipping for that too, I mean, but I always tip an average. I always tip the expected amount. You've got to be doing pretty bad for me to not do that, and then good gets more, of course. But I mean, you got to be doing pretty bad to not get that, because it does get split by everyone. Usually, unless you're in like a smaller establishment where they don't do that, everybody just pockets what they get.
Yeah.
Family-owned place, and that's where you have the freedom to actually make more judgment.
Well, that's
I guess
that's the other side of it too.
Not affecting people, it doesn't affect. So.
Leaving cash tips is regarded much higher in that industry than putting a tip on a card, because that gets reported, where the cash ones, they don't have to report necessarily. But alongside with them not reporting to the IRS, they might not report to anyone. So if you leave a decent tip, they might just say, "Oh yeah, they only left me $5. Here's the."
I worked as a bartender, and yeah, I could say that happened. I saw that happen in my industry.
Yeah, so I don't know, and that's usually in those cases where I notice that the table hops pick up the tips versus the wait staff. If I'm really impressed with a wait staff, I thank them in person and hand them the tip directly. So.
Yeah, I actually didn't. I asked a guy at I forget what the circumstance was, but basically, he needed a cash tip. He would not get tipped. It was a guy. It was a Mexican restaurant, and they had this avocado table thing where they make guacamole thing, where they bring out everything and just make it for you to your taste. And but that guy, he had a tip thing, but he couldn't get tips from the tip on the credit card. He didn't get the tip split with the rest of everyone in the restaurant. I don't know how that was about, or something, or whatever, or what they had going on there, but yeah. But he was separate from the wait person, and I don't know. I don't know. I ended up going to an ATM. I went back and tipped him because he was awesome.
Well, I kind of feel too that I'm not a big fan of the mandatory tipping ideal. Like, I really wish we were at a state where they got paid what they were minimum wage, what was expected of everyone's
Well,
minimum.
see, it's that's when the restaurant wants to regulate the tip, like for the number of people, for example. And you mean, or just the expectation being mandatory, or
The expectation of it being mandatory, because right now wait staff get paid a far lower minimum wage than regular minimum wage. So like if minimum wage is $7, like wait staff get paid
yeah.
$3 to $4 because they're
Here it was $2.13 forever.
yeah,
If it ever went up or not.
um,
It was at least that probably 10 years ago. So.
but I mean, most other countries in the world, I know they had done a report on it on one of the things that I'd watched where
It is time to roll. I will see
especially,
all
all right, later, dude. Europe especially doesn't have mandatory tipping, so they pay their staff what they're expected to be paid, and you don't have to tip, but you can if you want to. And I think that's what tipping should be: is if someone does a extremely good job and you want to tip them, that would make sense. And I know, Tank, you probably have some input on the furniture stuff because I've done those jobs as well, and you kind of expect tipping, but at the same time you don't always receive it, where people will tip their pizza delivery while you're moving heavy loads of furniture into their house and then not tip you. It's like, what? That guy just barely brought a pizza to your door, and I just set up your entire new baby's room, and I know how much this stuff costs. So I've been kind of upset with the furniture industry of that stuff. But anyways,
Yeah, the minimum wage for wait staff in most states is $2.13.
yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. Like,
There are some states that actually have decent minimum wages. In California, it's $10.
but did California just raise to 15 for everyone?
Maybe. This what I'm looking at doesn't show that.
Well, on all of this food and tipping notes, I do have some links to start off the day here. Prepare for Amazon branded food. So if you want store brand food from Amazon, apparently that's coming down the line. It's kind of crazy how much Amazon is getting their hands into, and yet still managing to hold together for now. I kind of feel like maybe their bubble is going to burst soon, kind of like Google's did, where they were doing so great with everything, but then it burst. Although Amazon's business plan model has always been a lot better, where you pay us for things, but interesting nonetheless on to see where Amazon is going, I feel. Hey, Philthex. Philthex just joined us. Long time no talk directly. And speaking of Europe and Google, apparently Europe is going to end up fining Google $3 billion over unfair search practices. And this is related to their Android operating system and antitrust case with that. So, wow, $3 billion fine. Can you imagine that? That is crazy dollars.
You have to dig pretty deep in the couch to find that.
Yeah. I also thought this was pretty cool. I think we had briefly mentioned that Germany passed a law that free Wi-Fi operators aren't responsible for content violations, so copyright and things of that nature. But the side effect of that is that there may be more free Wi-Fi hotspots coming up in Germany, because people aren't worried about.
I don't know what the hell you just said.
impact
what? Can you say that statement one more time, please?
There's going to be more free Wi-Fi hotspots in Germany.
There we
because-
go. There we go. All right, thank you. That was good. I like that.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, that's actually a really good thing. So that means more internet access for more people that may not have it, and the companies themselves that are providing that safe harbor aren't going to be liable for it. So I think that's a awesome and great move and big win for open internet kind of things. So. Oh man, Nick already left. His favorite person is in the news again. John Mcafee tried to trick reporters into thinking he hacked WhatsApp's secure encryption, but essentially what he did was he sent reporters message or phones pre-installed with malware so that he could monitor and see what they were typing and writing, and then told them that he had cracked
Oh my
WhatsApp's
God.
secure encryption. So,
What's the world coming to?
yeah, imagine that. You get a free phone and someone tells you to test something on it, and oh, look at there, it doesn't work as expected. But I'm sure that they tried it on their own phones and did not see the same results. So that's when they thought, maybe something's a little amiss here.
Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, so oh, that was pretty interesting. Here's another one for our awesome series of what you can do with Raspberry Pis that you can't do with Odroids. Build a Raspberry Pi media player that plays a random Simpsons episode. That's pretty sweet.
I'm pretty sure I could set up Cody to make that happen. So I'm pretty sure.
It's just pretty awesome that you can have a random Simpsons episode whenever you want. I haven't tried this program out, but I was highly interested by it. It's called Third Eye, and this is an Android app which will take a picture whenever someone tries to unlock your phone and gets it wrong. So that's kind of a neat idea there, actually, and surprised that's not already built into the security of these apps. Or phone devices, OS phone mobile operators. But I thought that was pretty awesome and a good idea. I'm gonna try it out and see how it works and what the take back of it is. Like I said, I haven't tried it, so I'm not sure if they have any options like cloud storage upload, so that if your phone does get stolen, you have pictures of people trying to unlock it incorrectly or what happens there. But I would hope that would be a feature, because that seems like it would be a good, reasonable feature there. But thought that was pretty cool. Does anybody else have any other things they want to talk about or share, or just want me to keep on rolling?
Keep on rolling for now. Got something coming.
Warren Buffett just purchased 9.8 million shares of Apple stock.
Wow! Right after their first bad quarters.
Yep.
Weird.
Warren Buffett is he's usually pretty good with his money, so it's people keep their eyes on him as far as what he does. It's not, I mean, it's his investment firm. It's not. I don't think it's him. It's
Did
under
he
his name,
short
but-
them, or did he just buy?
No, he sure. Well, this usually happens. See, you know what happens is like in takeover situations. Yeah, some player basically starts buying up all the stock till they get a percentage, and they get on the board of directors, and then slowly and surely, after a lot of finagling, they end up coming to power.
Yeah, but that's a lot of stock you got to buy to get to that point in Apple.
Well, certainly understandable. I don't necessarily think that's what's happening, but 9.8 million. That's a lot of shares of stock for as much as Apple stock costs.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying is that that's actually
Doesn't
not
get you
a lot of
much.
stock. Yeah, that's actually a very little amount of stock in Apple, especially since they normally give out stock options to all their executives and things of that nature. So,
This data is from last year, but it's concerning how much cash that tech companies had at the end of 2014, and that $3 billion fine might not put too much of a dent in Google.
Yeah, that's
But
not going to
Apple,
touch Google.
Microsoft, Google, Cisco, and Oracle had cash reserves of $430.3 billion at the end of 2014, and Apple was the largest of those with $178 billion.
That makes
It
them.
doesn't
That
mention
makes
what.
those companies richer than almost all countries in the world except for ours, basically, and China and a couple of others.
Yeah,
our country's in debt. We don't have any billions.
yeah, but we just print it when we need it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
We borrow it from China.
Yeah, we make the
That
money.
just lowers our value on that, though.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So that $3 million is $3 billion is just a drop in the bucket. Oh, here's Google. Although they have over 60% of their money is overseas, and they're at the end of 2014 they had almost 65 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it how a U.S. company can keep all of its money outside of the U.S. and pay no taxes on it, and or whatever minimal overseas
Well,
taxes.
it looks
they have
like
to do.
Google's actually the least among all of them to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, Google is the least among them.
60% is the least.
Yeah.
That seems pretty bad.
Yeah, Cisco is 94%.
Oh, Cisco! What a nice company, and we trust them with all the technology backbones to the internet. And they keep all their shit overseas. Okay.
Cisco, Oracle, Microsoft, and Apple keep about 90% of their stuff overseas or more.
Yeah, that should
Yeah.
be downright illegal. That should
Apple.
be illegal. Then don't operate in the
Well,
U.S. Go to another
they're-
country.
They're
Get.
international businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are international businesses.
Mhm. Mhm.
You gotta fix that.
Yeah, international businesses. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that means of course they sell as many products to
You
all
need
the
to
other countries.
operate in one country,
No,
and
no, no,
that.
no, but I mean, tell me,
fine.
other than the Chinese market, possibly, other than the Chinese market, all these
Europe,
other well, I mean, these are
Asia
bigger
in
markets, but
general,
Europe,
not just China.
all of Europe is not as much as the U.S.
Australia's.
All of Europe and all of Australia combined aren't as much business as the U.S. I mean, only it's like us and China as far as the point.
Tank?
The point is that there's no way
Wait,
somebody.
Michael, hold off. What'd you say, Tank?
I said, so what he's saying is since the U.S. has more population, they should have to keep their money here.
Well, it's not about population. It's about
It's
spending.
not even.
It's we spend more.
China and India have way more population than us.
Yeah, but they don't spend. Their people don't
we
spend
just
as much.
spend-
Their people don't
yeah,
spend
we
as
spend
much.
more.
We spend plastic money. I mean, debt is acceptable in our society. Almost everywhere else in the world, debt is looked on pretty poorly. Except in our society, it's great. You're not successful unless you have tons of credit cards in your wallet and you have tons of debt. Now, why that is a measure of
Nice
success is
hat.
beyond me. But
Yeah, nice hat, Nick. The EU is a fairly big market, as Glenn points out as well. And hey, Glenn, welcome. There are large markets out there internationally, and I don't think it's wrong of them to have international holdings. But if they're headquartered somewhere, that should be where a large
pay their
percent-
taxes. Yes, they should
No,
be.
It's still waiting for stream input, so we should be able to pick right back up as long as it works.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
just
can
started
start it.
streaming to YouTube.
Oh, good.
Yep,
How about
it does
Twitch?
look like it picked up. And Checking the broadcast is. YouTube. Test. Proctor, I'm not hearing any sound.
There was an update on April 20th for the
Oh, no, I'm
software
hearing sound, sorry.
XSplit. Maybe that has something to do with something. I don't think I've updated to that version yet. Let me see. Maybe that is.
I don't see any reason for there to be an audio problem.
No, there's sound. It was just waiting on the stream. So.
Oh, okay.
2.7.
All right.
What version of
All
XSplit
right,
are you running?
Proctor is now streaming, so we won't have any random issues. But Michael's computer entirely rebooted, so if everyone in chat would also chime in on telling Michael to reformat his computer so he'll stop having computer issues, we would greatly appreciate the support. So, sorry about that slight interruption, but we could also blame it on John's hat. It broke the internet.
It's the Monday after Friday the 13th. Does that mean anything?
That's true. We didn't have any issues on Friday, so
I know it's for playing.
It goes for the whole weekend. If nothing bad happens on Friday the 13th, it goes over the whole weekend. So.
I can't believe you were honest about that. You were truthful. That's one of the few times
I don't lie. So TKI Bob posts a Redosdru versus Malware that Redosdru.V malware hides in encrypted DLL files to avoid detection by firewalls, and I would assume antivirus as well. Glenn knows someone that can reformat and clean install your OS for you, Michael. He may need to drop ship to you, Glenn. I'm checking out that malware link that TKI Bob posted there. Michael's long sighs of understanding that he knows what he has to do.
My computer just works. My computer's been fine the entire weekend. I don't understand why all of a sudden XSplit wants to crap out on me. And it's like XSplit. It's just XSplit. I don't know why.
Because you weren't actually using your computer for anything useful. And I told you before, it's because you overclock and your thing runs too hot.
Yeah, this is new behavior. I don't think so.
So, anyway, that stuff does look interesting, TKI Bob. Thanks for posting that. But something else interesting here. Apparently, we were talking about Germany before our slight interruption there. Germany's going to add self-driving cars to its railroad networks. So that's pretty interesting. I wonder how that's going to work out with all the, I know, motioning trains is already a difficult task, but add individual self-driving cars to that. Possibly, I guess it could replace trains altogether, but I don't know. It seems like an interesting place to come. So, Glenn, that's great. He says Murphy's Law soon to be renamed Michael's Law. Something wrong. Michael. Let's see what else we got.
Yeah, they said that that there's some stories around that actually this whole self-driving car thing may be really bad because so here's the thing. I mean, if all the self-driving replacement cars are brand new, electric, no emission vehicles, there may not be an issue, but it would appear that some of the studies suggest that people are going to be driving more as a result of this, because it's not a burden on them anymore to drive, so they would go longer distances, and the estimation is that there's going to be, potentially trillions of additional miles driven per year once this occurs, that would have not been driven otherwise. And that's got to have a negative impact on our environment, and that's got to have a negative impact, unless those emissions are zero. Driving a whole lot more is probably not going to create the beautiful new future we're thinking about.
I disagree. I think that self-driving cars will help a lot of things, because
Well, there
also
won't be
a lot of
accidents. I mean, there's
driving are
lots of pluses.
idiot drivers. So if if it's being automated,
Yeah,
then
but think about it.
dumb.
People would be driving more, and so that means tire burn, as well as any emissions that the vehicle may be doing, are going to be increased in the future. So, I mean, what's the,
Yeah, but that's something for the planet to worry about.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not so sure it's we can always have perfect
We'll
solutions.
just have to deal with it in the ice age.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be happy because I'm going to have beachfront property pretty soon here in my lifetime,
Dude, you're gonna
probably.
be under the beach. You're gonna be under the water.
Yeah, you're going to need a new house at some point, though.
Michael's underwater laboratory.
I'm gonna be the one at beachfront property.
Yeah,
Be the one at beachfront property.
that's true.
These people, we're in the Piedmont areas of the Appalachians. We'll be it ain't going over the Appalachians, so
Probably not.
we'll be safe there. California's just gonna fall off the continent, so they're already done for. Probably New Mexico and western Colorado will be beachfront property, but TK Bob also points out a new lock screen's been seen in the wild for Android. I think we talked about that right after that came out on one of our shows, but always good to bring that type of information back up. I think it was doing it through ads or something like that on the lock screen, so I don't recall the exact specifics there. Shuk also mentioned that, I don't think you have mentioned it before, Shuk, that he has a script in Windows Batch that will determine the drive letter based on a label, and he uses that for backups for customers. So if anyone's interested, let them know. And yes, Glenn, that's what it would do if you have a drive that you have labeled as backup. No matter where Windows assigns it, especially if they're using lots of different flash medias at a time, you could get a different drive letter when you plug up that backup. It sounds like Shoot Script will pick it up and tell the correct drive letter based off of that. So Michael randomly posted a link about UC students.
Google's and I actually I'm because my school uses Google as well, and I believe that Google may actually be in violation of some laws concerning students' privacy here. I'm concerned about it.
Their main argument, I believe, was because Google allegedly says that they don't scan your emails and things for advertising purposes, but they feel otherwise, so they're filing class action suit against them.
Well, Google specifically said they wouldn't. And misrepresented it to a lot of people, the schools themselves, and so.
Well, I didn't see anything in there that said, "Hey, they definitely are." So.
Well, I mean, there's some evidence to stand by it. Google has had a tremendous amount of increase in their information dumps from universities and schools, and that information has been shown to change some of the the standards of things, and I'm pretty sure they're doing something with it. I'm pretty sure they're doing something with it. They pursued the market too aggressively to not have to not be getting something beneficial out of it, and that's where
I believe the benefit that they're getting out of it is just like what Microsoft did with Office and Windows, where you give it out to all the students and they learn and know your applications and products so that when they go out into the job market, they're fully well versed in it. So businesses decide, hey, most of the people coming out of schools and stuff are using this, so this is what we should use. So
well, I know, but that doesn't directly, just because people are using it doesn't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, this is. I'm guessing. I don't have a whole lot of facts to back this up, but again, as aggressively as they pursued the market, and I'm pretty sure that they have something going on with the information that they're using. Now, the thing is, that's not problem for me if they had expressed that to the institutions that they were pushing it to, if that was taken into consideration. But I don't believe that it was. But anyway.
Has anyone seen Person of Interest? Michael, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you check out that show.
Is it a movie?
No, it's a TV series. They just started up their 5th season. I had looked into it like when they came out with their 1st season, and for some reason just didn't pick up or get into it. But having all of the Snowden and all of this other stuff that's come out, it's extremely interesting show now, because the basis of it is that a guy or a company builds essentially an AI that can monitor all data and screens and videos and all of the stuff that's connected, and it will be able to predict if someone's in trouble, or it was designed to predict if there's a terrorist attack. The basis of the show itself is that the machine is out there, it's working for the government, it's giving them terrorist targets, and they're taking out terrorist plots. But at the same time, the machine doesn't just see terrorist plots, it also sees like regular people, murders, various things of that plots. But it doesn't report those to the government because the government feels those are irrelevant. So it reports it to the creator, and the creator and this super spy go out and try to save these people or prevent them if they turn out to be the perpetrators. But it's extremely interesting show because they talk a lot about the points about things that you should be aware of in the fact of mass surveillance and government monitoring and different things like that. And I bring it up because one of the most recent episodes I watched in season 3 was about this thing called life service or something to that effect. And essentially what that company was doing was it was taking up all the third-party data that gets stored on you. So they partnered with things like your grocery loyalty program, your cell phone companies, your publicly accessible data on social media sites and things like that, and essentially compiled a entire list of everything that you do and what you do, and then would sell it to third parties or even individuals, it sounds. So kind of banking off the same thing with what Google's doing with their advertising. Like Google could easily turn around and sell that data, and that would tell people a lot about yourself there, especially with them having a social media site, their hangouts, and email, and all of those things being primary assets of theirs. Very, very, very interesting show, and like I said, I think it brings up a lot of interesting points about mass surveillance and things you should be aware of, and what can and can't be done. So, And Shook and Zombie Worm are talking about multiple screens and things, and I have one running off a DisplayPort, and it works really well. I don't have 4 monitors running at that resolution, though. I only have one running off of it. I did not know they could be daisy chained, though. That's actually pretty cool. It actually makes
I
more
didn't know they
sense.
could be daisy chained.
It makes more
Yeah.
sense that you have a DisplayPort on those. So I was wondering, why would you want to?
Thunderbolt and DisplayPort devices can be chained.
I mean, I'm running 3 DisplayPort monitors.
Yeah. I only have one. But I was wondering why it had a DisplayPort on, like an adapter for DisplayPort. So I was like, why would I need to convert to DisplayPort? But I guess if I'm daisy chaining them, that would make more sense. So, you have to have monitors that support DisplayPort 1.2. So, so the monitor itself actually has to have a DisplayPort out on it. Gotcha. I
Yeah, you
do
can't.
not have any monitors that support that. So DisplayPort works really well, though. It's actually a really nice feature. I actually have 2 more ports that I can use on my graphics card for that. Cool. So we learned something there at the end of the show as well. But I think we should go ahead and wrap it up before anything else bad happens on this horrible Monday morning. Unless anybody else had anything else they wanted to throw out or talk about real quick.
Nah.
Going twice. All right. Well, let's wrap it up for today. We'll be back hopefully in better action tomorrow at 10 a.m. And again, we are here to provide support and answer any questions for our products or services. And you can always feel free to jump into our live chat or contact our support via the various methods of support tickets, forums, or call-ins in the meantime. And otherwise, thanks everybody for joining in our chat and being active and talking and sticking with us while we go through Michael's computer being a horrible, horrible setup that he uses every day, apparently.
Seems just fine without XSplit right now.
No, it doesn't. We've mentioned you need to reformat on numerous occasions for other reasons.
Just mention it doesn't make it reality.
It does now. Anyway, thanks everyone. Nick, Glenn wishes you a safe journey. He does have a long road ahead of him. And otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow if you want to take us on out, Proctor.
All right.